we have some good news and some bad news. Let's start with the bad news first, in which Titanfall, no new games are currently in development. We learned that earlier this week from Vince Zampella himself. Now, on the good news front, we learned a little bit about DICE LA potentially working on a new shooter as their next project, and Respawn Entertainment has opened a new studio in Vancouver to exclusively help out on the development and the maintenance of Apex Legends. Now, of course, everybody's gears start turning when they hear this going is a Titanfall game coming our way. IGN sat down with Vince Zampella to talk to him about this 10th anniversary, and he had this to say about Titanfall making a return. There's nothing currently in development, but it's always there. He goes on to add, you see the little bits of stuff coming back through the lore in Apex Legends. At some point, I would personally like to see some kind of resurrection there. We'll see if I can make that happen. The spicy teases indeed. So while we know nothing is currently being worked on according to this statement, there is a desire from Zampella to bring it back and explore more within that universe. Let's double back to February of last year where Zampella tweeted this. Tons of things planned for Apex in the future. We are also committed to listening to player feedback. We're also working on more Titanfall for later in the year. Yes, I said the T word. We love being able to experiment in this crazy universe. In conjunction with that, the EA investor earnings calls from last year mention a premium Titanfall experience in the works. No release date, no timetable. However, it would seem that with these new statements from Vince this last week, that possibly that premium Titanfall experience was either put on pause or canceled altogether. Not super encouraging, however, we'll loop back to this and get our speculation caps on. More on the good news front, however, is that new studio in Vancouver who will be helping with the development of Apex Legends. Hopefully that relieves a little bit of the pressure on the Respawn team so that they have a little more flexibility. Maintaining live games is very tough, especially in this world. It seems like crunch culture has been pushed to the limit with these live service games that are under pressure for continual updates, new limited time events, and new seasons. In a larger interview I'll link down below where Ryan McCaffrey got to sit down with Vince Zampella, he spoke about DICE LA, which if you guys weren't paying attention, Respawn took over DICE LA. This news was released at the end of last year, right at the beginning of this year. Zampella had this to say and a little bit of hinting of what might be coming from their next project, and I quote, "The intention is for them to have their own identity," Zampella said. "We'll figure that out as we go. The whole, crazy situation in the world has thrown a kink in everything, so we're still figuring it out. That team is a shooter team," Zampella said. "Chances are it's going to be something along those lines. There are a lot of really good shooter talent there, but I don't want to lock it in and say that's definitely exactly what they're doing because we're going to look at everything and pick something that feels amazing. The same tenets that apply to Respawn of doing something new and exciting and kind of breaking the genre a little bit is what we're going to apply to DICE LA. We're going to look at trying to do something cool. We want to do something that's not competitive with other EA games so that we're kind of filling in the right gaps in the portfolio. We have some really good ideas, but it'll be a little bit before they make any announcements." Okay, so for context, those of you who didn't play Battlefield 4 may not be familiar with DICE LA. Those of you who did will recognize that DICE LA played a very pivotal role in the transformation of Battlefield 4 into the amazing FPS title that it is today. That long-term story is baked into a tiny summation is Battlefield 4 released, not ready, plenty of bugs, and not as content-rich as it could have been. DICE LA went out of their way to support that game for a long time and turned it into what is now remembered as one of the best FPS titles on PC of the last 10 years. So to hear that Respawn is going to be maybe nudging them in the direction of a new FPS or shooter game is quite exciting. Whether that's within the Titanfall universe or somewhere else, I don't really know. I just enjoy Zampella FPS titles quite a bit, so I'm hoping that the amount of talent here really produces something that the entire space can get very excited about. Now let's jump back into the exact verbiage of what Vince said here about nothing being currently in development, but it's always there, as well as his tweet from last year saying that they were working on more Titanfall. This is the studio that is pretty much known for their stealth launch of Apex Legends. It had transformed the entire space almost overnight with how a game that only was announced just very, very briefly prior to its launch turned into one of the biggest phenomenons of last year, at least within the gaming space. So perhaps there is a lot of Titanfall goodness being worked on, and maybe we're not looking at 5 years down the road for another Titanfall game. It could be that a long marketing push is not something that Respawn is looking to do once again, and the idea of having these stealth launches Worked out with Apex, what's to say it couldn't work out for Titanfall 3? I mean, imagine if we're looking a year, maybe 2 years down the road, and all of a sudden you start seeing a few leaks, and then 2 days later, boom, Titanfall 3 out on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. I don't know if you need months or weeks or these giant long marketing lead-ups to these games. Respawn has shown they can be very successful with that surprise, it's available right now! But with all that being said, it is purely speculation. It does seem encouraging to hear a lot of language talking about Vince's attachment to the Titanfall universe and that it's not completely dead in the water. What do you guys think about all this? What type of game do you think we'll see from DICE LA? Are you excited about the news of a new studio in Vancouver working with Respawn for Apex Legends? Let me know about it down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for the support this week. Had so much fun. If you didn't get the chance, check out the Titanfall 1 on 360 video. A lot of fun to produce. And dude, there's still people playing that game. There is a small, hardcore fan base that are just so dedicated to this universe. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend. I'll see you next time.